Easy Reviews here to do an installation video that I've been waiting for a little while here. I just bought this truck, again, used, probably about a week ago. And actually what I did, I know I'm crazy, call me crazy, but anyway, the truck actually came with the Velineon 3500 kV brushless motor in it. But I actually went ahead and installed the old Titan brushed motor system inside. Call me crazy, but again, I just wanted to kind of lead up to the brushless and the 3S power. So anyway, so what we're going to be doing today is installing the brushless system in the truck. So really, it's very, very easy to install or even just take out the old system and put the new power system in. So really, it's just a couple different tools. A couple different, specifically Allen wrenches. So anyway, what we'll do is we'll just hop right in. Really, it's just a matter of 2 bolts taking out of this ESC. You got to take, first of all, this cover off, take out this, this one screw here, the pinion gear. There's 2 bolts holding the motor on to this blue piece here. And then you also have to unscrew this little piece of the receiver. Actually, well, you just might as well just take the whole cover off. And unplug the ESC from the receiver. So we'll just go ahead and just work kind of our way forward. So we'll start with the motor. Alright guys, so first thing we're going to do is take off the pinion gear, spur gear cover. That's the first thing we'll do. Take off this cover right here with this one screw. Right, so take that off. Next thing we're going to do is a couple things. So one is, like I said, this particular screw here, and then also we have the pinion gear as well. So let's next take off. Yep, I need the bigger Allen wrench. Look at this. Alright, so once we have this off, we'll set that screw to the side, very important. We'll go ahead and take off, well actually, we should also take this guy off too, because these wires are underneath this. I put that there on purpose. It didn't come like that, but I'll go ahead and unscrew that one now. And of course, my Allen is too big for that. Unscrew this one. And really, I was pretty dissatisfied with the brushless system, to be honest with you. I only ran it about, I'm going to say max 7 or 8 times. And I'm getting a really bad burning smell coming from the brushed motor. Again, I don't know if I'm pushing it too hard. I mean, I only put a 2S in there. And it just has this really bad electrical smell. It really does sound like this motor is burnt up, and even like it's having a hard time turning. So I was just like, you know what, I'm done with the brush. Let's just go back over to the brushless, because I mean it's just so much better of a system to begin with. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and just take out the whole brush system. So now that we've got the motor loose, we don't have to, but it's just more convenient. Let's disconnect the power. So took that off. So now we're left with that. And actually, you can even see this is black right there. I don't know, like, I mean, that motor really got burnt up or something. It got really hot. So I'm really not sure what happened to this this brushed motor, but it sounds terrible. It sounds terrible. It smells terrible. I don't know. Hopefully, I didn't get a dud or something. But again, once we take the ESC and the motor out, it's really kind of like a new truck. So I'm going to put that, actually, we might as well take this off right now while we have this. Let's put the truck a little bit further back. Go ahead and put the motor here. Let's take off the pinion gear, which is this little tiny screw here. So this is very important. We really don't want to mess this one up, because this is going to go on our brushless motor too. This is just a 12 tooth. Obviously they have a bunch of different size gears here. This just happens to be the 12 tooth machine hardened. Alright, let's go ahead and take these screws off to take the motor off of the plate. Just 2 screws. Isn't that nice? Alright, so now that we've got this guy out of the way, again, brushed motor, pretty much bye-bye. There's no real reason to have it. Let's take this out. And what we're going to want to do is clean this plate a little bit before we put the brushed on there, because there's some grit on there, so we'll go ahead and do that right now. Alright, now this plate is nice and clean, so we'll go ahead and put the brushed motor on there. Shouldn't really matter because the brushed motor has 4 different mounting points. This plate only has 2 mounting points. I don't think it should matter a whole lot, but I think we should just kind of put it as straight up and down as possible. So let's line it up, and let's read in. Let's read in. 1 and 2. I want to make sure I'm doing this right because I'm about to run at 3S, so I really want to make sure that all these bolts are nice and tight. And if you have Loctite laying around, specifically the blue Loctite, it's probably a good idea to put Loctite on here. There was previously Loctite on these screws, so I'm hoping that just holds. So anyway, you don't want to make it too ridiculously tight. But anyway, so now the brushless motor is mounted onto the plate. Might as well, again, now that we're still on the motor, might as well put the pinion gear on there. We have the flat spot right here. So line up the pinion gear with that, and we'll just tighten down the bolt where the flat part of the shaft is. I'm looking to make it really tight right now because, again, we're going to have to adjust it once it's in the car anyway. So anyway, that's kind of what it looks like prior to putting it just like that. All right, it should be, this should line right up with that. All right, so now we can go ahead and pull the truck into the picture again. And now we can, well, actually, let's just leave that off for now. We'll go ahead and take out the old ESC and put in the VXL3S. Alright, so take out the old one, make sure you save the screws. We're just going to reuse the same screws for the VXL3. So again, it is the same exact mounting holes. It does use the exact same screws, so like I said, make sure you save those. So now the old ESC is free, but the next step is going to be to take off basically all the different screws of the receiver. There's 2 screws here, there's 1 here, and then 1 on the back side of this. We'll go ahead and take these off. This is kind of where the this is where the wires enter the waterproof receiver box. I'm going to take this one off next, and it is a larger Allen wrench. Let's get the larger one. Get this out. And it is one of these. Okay. So you take off the top here. And make sure you remember which screws are which. There's not too many, but it's just good to remember those. Which screws go where. Alright. Next thing, we'll just kind of move the receiver box cover to the side. The receiver, the ESC will go in channel 2 of the receiver. So again, I can do a little close-up here for you. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 total channels. The ESC is going to go in this second channel right there. So we'll go ahead and take out the old one, take out the wire. The old ESC is now free. Right, so put that to the side along with the brush motor. bring in the new puppy, the VXL3S, and I'll put that in the right spot. Right, so we want to put the new wire through the waterproof inlet here, and we're going to take up as much of the slack as we can. We want most of the wire to be inside the box as possible, just so you don't have a bunch of wire hanging out outside the receiver box. Make sure this waterproof gasket is also right in the right spot, because if it's not in the right spot, guess what? It's not waterproof anymore. Make sure that's in the right spot. Alright, so just again to give you another little close-up here. So again, we're going to be plugging this guy into this second slot here. So hopefully you'll be able to see that. Alright, so now it's good and plugged in. So now that we've got the wire plugged in here, again, make sure this gasket is in the little channel here, because if it's not, again, it's not going to be waterproof. So make sure all the wires are, in the right spot. Make sure no wires are kind of hanging out of the receiver box. Once again, make sure the waterproof gasket is in place. We'll push this down, and we'll put the screws back in for the box. Just do those. Okay, that's one. The other one's right here. Make sure the one inside is also tight. It is right there. Nice and tight, not too tight. Once again, don't want to break anything. Everything is plastic. It's good quality plastic, but it is still plastic. All right. Next, we're going to reinstall a small little piece here that goes right here to cover all the wires. Not going to go anywhere. Next thing, we're going to mount the ESC in the same spot as the... Actually, it's not. It's slightly different, actually. I'm sorry. This ESC is actually... So you have two different spots here. This was the old mounting hole for the old ESC, is a little bit less wide. This one right here is the mounting hole for the VXL3. So there is a little bit different there. This one's exactly the same over here though, so just kind of make note of that. So anyway, we'll go ahead and install this one first over here, as this is the same mounting position. Sorry if this is a little hard to see with the antenna, but the hole's right there. Alright, so that's right there. And easy. Just unscrewing it a couple turns so we can make sure this other side is nice and tight before we really crank it down. Right. Doesn't seem like this thing's gonna go anywhere. Just give it another couple turns just until it's that solid. Alright, good. Alright, so now that the ESC is in place, we'll go ahead and do the last step, which is again reinstalling the motor. Alright, so now that we've got our ESC in place, again, this does have the optional fan on it. The guy who owned this prior to me, he installed the fan, so thank you very much. Apparently it's going to help when you're running it for really long periods of time, keep it cool. So anyway, so again, we already have our pinion gear installed, so that'll probably require a little bit of adjustment. But anyway, this is the 12-tooth pinion on here, and I can already tell we're going to need a little bit of adjustment with that pinion. So anyway, really simple, blue to blue, yellow to yellow, and white to white. So I'll go ahead and connect the motor, yellow to yellow. And I've even seen some people put a couple zip ties on these cords so they're not just all over the place. But again, they do have this handy dandy tie down here, so you kind of keep the wires out of the way. So we'll probably end up doing that. We'll go ahead and reinstall that right now. Exactly on. So we definitely want to make sure that that is as close as humanly possible, because again, especially the brushless motor, this thing spins insanely fast and really, really powerful. So you want to make sure you have every possible millimeter of gear on that pinion. So go ahead and try to adjust this guy accordingly. That looks pretty perfect. And you want to tighten that pretty tight, but not too insanely tight. You just don't want to strip anything. Second to last here, I'm going to put this guy in there. Again, the old trick with the piece of paper still applies to get the mesh perfect. Again, mine does not have the kind of the easy mesh or the specific like non-adjustable one. Mine's just loose, right? It doesn't have that little piece in here, so I will have to kind of manually figure out the mesh. And but let's go ahead and just do the little method. So again, you should be able to just put a little piece of paper through the mesh without it binding. So once you kind of think you've got it pretty much just tighten that guy down. So now I should be able to feed this piece of paper through there and it should not bind. Well, okay. It may be binded a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit too tight. Might want to back this off just a hair in terms of the tightness. It really is kind of just guess and check. I don't know if this is going to be too loose now, but hopefully not. I believe that's kind of what it should be right there. See how the paper can come in and out without going crazy? That should be pretty much good. I just kind of rolled it around on the ground and it should roll pretty easily. If it stops super fast, you probably have it too tight. So anyway, so we're almost done here, guys. Bear with me. And the last thing is just to put that cover back on. So go find your cover. Find your cover, put the cover back on. Reinstall the one screw. And hopefully once you've completed this, we'll have lots and lots of time with it without breaking anything, without having to replace anything. But again, that's just hopes and dreams, because if you guys are hobby people, you know that these things break pretty much every time you use them. So Well, especially if you bash on them really hard. I mean, if you're gentle with it, you'll probably get a lot of time without breaking anything, but what's the point, right? It's not fun if you're just kind of twiddling around with it. But anyway, that is the entire process to install the Velineon 3500 VXL into a brushed Rustler 4x4. So anyway, now this thing is brushless. If you have questions, concerns, anything, please let me know. Hopefully we'll have lots more videos of this guy with different spur gears, different batteries, run times, G-forces, speeds, all that good fun stuff. So anyway guys, Skywatch Reviews, thanks for watching. Take care. Please subscribe and like the channel. If you would, it really helps out the channel. Take it easy. Bye-bye.